Hello, and happy fall to all our friends out there in the financial advisor group world. And yep, it seems like this is getting repetitive, right? We thought coming into this year we'd have a turbulent market to deal with. And boy, it just keeps throwing more and more turbulence at us. I think we agree that this year, we thought coming into the year would be tough. We're the first to admit this has been a lot tougher than we thought it would be. So where do we go from here, right? We are where we are. So let's start thinking through and give you some insight into where we are today and how we think things will play out. The truth is things are ugly, right? This has not been a great start to the year, hasn't been a great second quarter. September's been rough, and we just feel like we keep getting hit time after time and again. I think back to a quote about Mike Tyson that said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face by Mike Tyson." Feels like we're getting punched in the face by Mike Tyson right now. The important thing is what happens going forward. Things like this happen. I think we talked about this last video. Bear markets are part of investing. They happen about once every 5 years or so. The most important thing is the decisions we make today will shape our future for the next 3 to 5 years. It's so difficult at times like this not to make short-term decisions and just sort of lock down and say, hey, let's do what's best for the next 3 months. That's not what you have us for. Our job is to say what's right for you for the next 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 years. That's the important decision. We still firmly believe we're making good decisions on that side today, even though in the short term, they're difficult decisions to make. So let's move forward. The fog is thick. It's hard to see what's going on right now. There's a lot of things happening in the world, and it's to be honest, it's very easy to be bearish today. It'd be very easy to get on this video and say, hey, yeah, we agree with everybody else, which we do, right? To some extent, things are worrisome. There's some worries out there, but there are always worries. We do think there's some signs, this fog is very thick right now, and we think there may be more pain ahead, that we wouldn't expect this market to turn around tomorrow. But we do think as we look out now for the first time, when we look out 6, 9, 12 months, we're starting to see some signs of that opportunity, starting to have some of that feeling that we had in March of 2020, that maybe there's some opportunities emerging at this point, that the pain, most of the pain may be behind us. Doesn't mean all the pain's over. We wish it was, but that is most of the pain behind us at this point. So definitely very foggy still, rough, maybe a couple weeks, couple months ahead of us. But again, we're starting to see some signs of optimism as we emerge, and we'll go through some of that thought process ahead. The most important thing right now, and we talked about this a lot last video, is make good decisions. Rule number one, if you don't have to, don't sell anything. This is not a great time to sell a company like Apple or Microsoft or Amazon that are down 40, 45% from their highs. If we can, we want to hold on, right? Don't sell. I think of the movie Braveheart, if anyone's seen the movie, and William Wallace at one point has a famous part where he says, hold the line, right? We want to hold the line right here, hold on. If we can, opportunistically, let's buy if opportunities emerge, right? And we're starting to see some of that. If a couple times this year, we've sort of dabbled in and bought a couple more quality companies, and we may do more of that going forward as opportunities emerge. Some of the best opportunities appear in the most bearish times. And it sounds strange. The more short-term bearish I get, or we get, the more long-term opportunities that are emerging, right? When things look so bad now, that means that 1, 2, 3 years from now, at some point, they can only get better. And we're getting close to that point. The other thing is make good planning decisions. Do tax loss harvesting, which we're doing for clients almost month after month. If there's opportunities to lock in losses, we will. So it goes back to behavior. Let's make good decisions right now. This is a difficult time, and we'll get through it. Now, I can't leave a video without some optimism, right? So what are we looking at, that things that could make us feel a little bit better about what's going on today? And we'll try to share some of those thoughts with you now to bring some of this optimism back. The first thing we'd say is markets don't need a perfect solution or a perfect scenario to recover. They need things to get, my two favorite words right now are just less worse. If things can get less worse, the markets can breathe a little bit. What's been happening a lot recently is there hasn't been a lot of that less worse. Although I'd argue right now you're starting to see some of it emerge. What do I mean by that? If you look at something as simple that we see every day, gas prices are down $1, $1.50 a gallon from where they were 1, 2, 3 months ago. That means we, as consumers, have more money to handle some other things that may not have come down as much in price. Gas prices are less worse. What do we mean by less worse? Sure, they're not as low as they were 2, 3 years ago, but they're a lot less worse than they were 3 months ago. We're heading in the right direction. You look at things like airline fares. If you look at airline fares, they're coming back down again as well. Also, you don't hear as many flying issues, flight issues as we had in the peak of summer 2022. Again, things aren't perfect, but they're heading in the right direction. They're getting, you got it, less worse. How about that shipping issue we had back in 2020 and 2021? What you see here, this is the cost to ship a container from different parts of the world to other parts of the world. If you look at this chart, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but it just gets the theme across that pre-COVID, the cost was somewhere less than $2,000 to $3,000 to ship a container boat somewhere around the world. Well, as you see, as COVID reared its head, the price shot all the way up to some instances $16,000 to ship one boat. Well, that wreaked havoc on the costs we were paying for things. What do you see happening in front of our eyes today? The cost of that is all coming back down again. Now, is it where we were 3 years ago? No, but it's less worse. It continues that theme. Even things like lumber recently, the price of lumber has come down back to pre-pandemic levels. Things are, again, getting less worse. You're also seeing the used car market calm back down. As more new cars become available, the used car price will correct itself, and the car market will get back to being a little bit more normal as well. Last thing I'll hit on here from a job perspective, one of the big benefits right now is if you want to change a job, the average person changing jobs today is actually seeing a pay increase of 16%, right? Even those just staying put in general are seeing a 7 to 8% gain in income from a year ago. Now, part of that is what causes inflation, but at the same time, that's a positive thing, right? People are earning more. And the benefits of this is a lot of the people earning more are people in that lower income scale. So they need these increases to help cover inflation today. So where does that bring us? Things are getting less worse, but at the same time, the fog is very thick. We are not very confident. We showed this chart last time. We are horrible predictors of what will happen going forward. And this is just to remind us that historically, when confidence has been at its lowest, and this looks back at the 8 lowest confidence troughs we've seen in the last 25, 30 years, actually about 50 years, the average return for the market 12 months later was 25%. When we were the most positive in the last 50 years, the return is only 4. The more negative we get, actually, the better the returns tend to be going forward. And I'd argue we're pretty negative right now. Also, right, let's get some more positivity. What things could happen going forward? We've now had 6 down days in a row. This is through the end of yesterday, which is September 27th. 6 down days in a row to a new 52-week low for the market. So the market's to a brand new 1-year low, and stocks have gone down 6 days in a row. The last time, every time that has happened in history, when you look forward 1 year later, the market is up on average 20%, and it's been positive 90% of the time. We don't want to fight history. There's a lot of indicators out there that show that this market is bound to recover, maybe not in a month. We'd argue again, this next month to 3 months could be pretty difficult. But when we look forward a year to 2 from now, things will be better. Another indicator is they chart how many people are actually bullish out there right now. What we can tell you is nobody's bullish. Most people out there are bearish. And the survey of average investors, over 60% of people today are bearish. That is a very extreme signal. That has only happened in history a couple times before. This is now the 5th time that's happened in history. Historically, that has led to very positive returns. If you look here, every time in history that has happened, a year later, the average rate of return is above 20%. Again, every time we tend to get very bearish, the market tends to have its most powerful rallies. It doesn't mean it will happen in a month, but I think as time plays out, there's opportunities emerging. This is what we don't want to bet against. historically, the market has always come back. We don't think this time is different. We get it's difficult, just like every bear market is, and we'll recover from this one. And the bad news is there'll be another one in 5 years. It's what markets do. But if you take the pain, the gain comes with it. You can't have both. What I think we all need, I'll go back to some of my music introductions, is a good old song by Guns N' Roses. I think what we're all missing right now is a little patience, right? This has been a rough year, right? Horrible might be a little extreme, but a very rough year from the market standpoints. And I think right now we just need a little patience. Let this thing play out. Let us make good decisions and don't panic. Instead, let's be patient. And to quote Axl Rose, you and I'll just use a little patience. All we need is just a little patience. And I think if we can be patient right now, we'll be rewarded down the road. I always have to end with something positive as well. A great positive thing, and Bill Gates says this all the time, that positive progress happens slowly. So a lot of people don't pay attention to it. We pay attention to fast change. I would have never guessed this, but did you know that child poverty has fallen 59% since 1993? That's phenomenal, right? You don't hear about stuff like this. But again, I think there are good things happening. We just don't hear about it. We hear about the very fast changes, not the progress that's happening over decades and decades. I'll end with one last note. Another song that I'll throw in here is by a group called the Barenaked Ladies. And the title of the song is Odds Are. And I think the lyrics say it all right here. The odds are that we'll probably be all right. And we truly believe that, right? The odds are we're going to be okay. The hard part is we have to make it through this tough part. This is the hardest part of investing, what we're going through right now. And we think if we make good decisions now, then we'll be rewarded down the road. Sure, things go wrong, but I'll take my chances. Odds are long, so why not play? Our view is we want to keep in play, right? We want to keep doing this. I know it's frustrating. We know the year may have a couple rough weeks or months ahead of it, but let's set the expectations. We expect it to be bumpy for another couple months, but you're starting to see this fog lift when we look out 3, 6, 9 months from now. Hang in there. As always, remember, this is what you have us for, to help you manage and get through these situations, and let us shoulder the stress for you. And more importantly, you focus on enjoying this great weather, spending time with families, and hopefully enjoying fall as it comes in, and Halloween and all the great parts that are coming that we get to spend with families in the next couple weeks and months. Make it a great fall. We look forward to hearing from you or talking to you soon. And as always, if you need anything, please reach out. Remember, odds are it's all going to be all right.